정말로.
아마도 지금 이 순간이 가장 힘든 순간이여. 내겐 걱정 말아요. 그래도 그대 원망하진 않아요. 모든 걸 잃어도 돌릴 수 없고 소중한 걸 지킬 수조차 없는 초라한 내 모습 뗄 수 없는 입술이 그대 잡을 수 없게 하죠. 난 다시 한번 불려버린 우리를 예쁘게 묻고 싶어. 있는 힘껏 서로를 당기며 사랑을 매듭지을 수 있게. 가야 빨리 봐. 절대 풀리지 않가야 빨리 봐. 서로를 놓을 수 없게. 아직 늦은 게 아니라면 너도 나와 같을 수 있다면.
받아들이는 게 아니야 내 뜻대로 할 수 있는 건 지금처럼 지지자거나 취한 채로 널 향해 걷는 거. 아주 가끔씩 꿈에 찾아온 너 반갑게 맞아주는 거. 아무렇지 않은 척 괜찮다며 웃어주는 것뿐이야 baby. 맞아줘 남자는 아니었어. 나는 너에게 언제나 부족한 사람이었게. 지금처럼 노래 부르는 것도 부담이라면 미안해.
전부를 버려도 바꿀 수 없고 싫어도 빼앗길 수밖에 없는 초라한 내 모습 뗄 수 없는 입술이 그댈 잡을 수 없게 하죠. 난 다시 한번 불려버린 우리를 예쁘게 묻고 싶어. 있는 힘껏 서로를 당기며 사랑을 매듭지을 수 있게. 가야 빨리 봐. 절대 풀리지 않가야 빨리 봐. 서로를 놓을 수 없게. 아직 늦은 게 아니라면 너도 나와 같을 수 있다면. 너무 아름답게 또 당연한 듯이 내 곁에 머물러준 너. 그래서 가까이 와버린 이별조차 알아채지 못한 걸까. 이렇게 쉽게 끝나버린 만큼 그리움도 쉽게 지울 순 없을까. 언제쯤이면 난 너 웃으며 떠올릴 수 있을까. 난 다시 한번 불려버린 우리를 예쁘게 묻고 싶어. 있는 힘껏 서로를 당기며 다시 널 사랑할 수 있게. 가야 빨리 봐. 절대 풀리지 않가야 빨리 봐. 서로를 놓을 수 없게. 아직 늦은 게 아니라면 너도 나와 같을 수 있다면. 텅 빈 회색 빛거린 참 허전해. 쓸쓸한 기분에 유리창을 열어 내민 두 손 위로 떨어진 빗방울 가득 고이는 그리움 나의 맘에 흘러. 왠지 네가 보고픈 밤 차오르는 눈물 떠오르는 나의 맘속. 비가 오면 내리는 기억에 번지는 아픔에 흠뻑 쏟아지는 너를 보다 선명했던 그 시간에 멈춘 채 추억에 젖은 채 아름다웠던 너를 그려 in the rain. 길었던 참 눈이 부셨던 계절도 사진 접속에 얼룩져. 색이 바래질까. 점점 깊어가는 이 밤 잊지 못한 약속. 따뜻했던 품도
Okay, hello everyone. Hello. So if you're able, before we get started, if you're able to turn your cameras on so we can enjoy the class together, I request for you to turn your cameras on. I do understand there might be some things, you might be driving or something, but if you can, go ahead and turn your camera on. And then actually, it might, it may not look it, but actually I can speak Korean. Actually, I lived in Korea for a total of 5 years. And during that time, I was able to learn Korean and become fluent enough that I can teach it and have a conversation pretty well. So I'm hoping to take um, what I've learned and kind of give that to you as well. So then one day you can also maybe one day volunteer as well to become a Korean teacher. Um, so before we get started, I gave that short introduction. And then my name is Jonathan Ortega, and I'll be teaching you for the following 2 months. And then hopefully most of you will go into our level 2 course, are able to go into our level 2 course, and you can start reading. And then this class, what this class is going to be about, it's going to be mostly about kind of building your foundation in Korean. So we're going to be working on some pronunciation, and then we're going to be working also on your ability to speak a little bit about the basic grammar, and then for you to be able to read as well. So then at some point by the end of this class, I hope all of you are able to read Korean well enough. You may not understand what you're reading, but you should all be able to read Korean at least. It's not as difficult as you might think because we're used to the romanization, the Roman letters. Actually, it's very difficult for us to learn characters, a character-based language. So we do have that difficulty, those of us who speak, our English is our first language, but we are able to learn a second language easily. Actually, Korea is known as one of the most, in linguistics, Korea is known as one of the most perfected languages, because the way that your mouth is shaped, the letter, so if you're saying an O, the O comes out, and then the shape of that letter is actually an O, a circle as well. So the shape of your mouth ends up being the shape of the letter. So it's all in linguistics. In linguistics, if you go a little bit more into Korean language, you'll learn a little bit more about this. Every now and then, I'll give you some kind of linguistics kind of stuff because I am a language teacher, so I do kind of have some background in that. And I hope that you can all, it may be slow, but I hope eventually all of you can start to learn Korean and learn the basic grammar and move on to our second level. And then they say Korean only takes 1 week to learn. So you can learn to read, 1 week to learn to read. So even if it doesn't take you 1 week, it means you just weren't practicing, right? I mean, if you're practicing every day for 2 hours, then you can definitely learn it to read it in 1 week. But for me, it took actually 1 month because I was not practicing at all. But I hope that you guys, if you practice daily, even though we don't have the class every single day, it's good for you to practice the Korean daily. You can even post, we have a chat room. I think all of you here are in the chat room. I hope so. If you've been unable to create the Kakao Talk yet, just go ahead and send me a text message at my phone number. I'll put it here just in case there's some people that are not in, I haven't been able to contact yet. I'm gonna post my phone number here in the chat box. Then go ahead and send me a text message. Sorry, I missed the number. Go ahead and send me a text message and I'll give you instructions on how you'll be able to join our group chat. So actually all the announcements and everything is going to go through there, and actually you can ask any questions in that group chat as well. If you feel a little bit embarrassed and don't want to ask in the group chat, you can also message me individually, but feel free to ask in that group chat, because if you have the question, most likely at least 3 or 4 other people have that same question, but they're shy. So you be the brave one and kind of take that step forward and kind of ask the question, okay? I know a lot about the Korean culture, the language. So even if it's like a culture question that you have, I can go ahead and answer that question. And I have some family that is Korean. So if I don't know, they know, and then I'll just ask them and then give you the answer, okay? So next, we're going to get right into the lesson. It's the reason you're here, right? So we're going to get right into learning the Korean. So today, actually, we're going to learn some of the vowels, just like in English. In Korean, we also have vowels, as well as we have consonants as well in Korean. So we're going to learn some of the vowels and some of the consonants, the most basic ones. And this is pretty much all of the letters. So pretty much the letters that you're going to learn today are pretty much almost all of the letters. Just maybe there's a six or seven other letters that are missing. But pretty much today, you're going to learn all of the letters. So pretty much at the end of today, slowly, but you'll be able to read Korean. Okay. Okay. And does everyone have either their physical copy of their textbook or a PDF? Right? Okay. Okay. Good. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to show the PDF that I have on my computer on the share screen. Okay. Okay, everyone can see it, right? Right? Okay, we're gonna go right into the lesson. Let's skip all this boring stuff in the beginning. It's just pretty much telling you what's in the book, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna learn here is we're gonna learn our simple vowels. So our simple vowels. So in English, what are some of our, go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself whenever you want to interrupt me and ask a question. And when I ask a question, feel free to unmute yourself and respond, okay? So in English, we have some vowels, right? Who knows the vowels we have in English? So it's a very easy question.
A-E-I-O-U.
Right. I think you're together with someone, right? you're in the room with someone. So when you do turn off your mic, that person should turn off their sound, or one of you just have the sound on, because then we hear the feedback. Okay. So go ahead. I think you're with Getsi, right? Because she was laughing. Okay. So now, when you have the vowels, in Korean, we actually have pretty much almost the exact same vowels. So for example, we have here, I'm going to go slowly. You can also hear the romanization is here on the second page that you have. On page 11, it includes the symbol as well as the romanization. Okay, my mouse is being a little bit freaky. Okay, it includes the symbol as well as the romanization. Okay, so this first one here in the blue, we're going to say ah, ah, ah. Like an A here, like father A, fa. Okay. The second one here in the blue, we have ya, 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 ya. And here it says like in yacht, ya, yacht, ya. Next here, the first one in yellow, we have oh. This is a little bit wrong, but Cali, maybe they don't know how to pronounce California in this book. Call. This is call, not Cali. Okay, call. Okay, go ahead. Now, the second one in yellow, we have yaw, as in young. Yaw. So does anyone know there's a pattern here? Who can tell me the pattern that's going on here? Ya, yaw. These two look similar, right? But I'm adding one sound when I add one more line. So for example, here we have a vertical line going down, and we have a small horizontal line sticking out from the right side, right? And here we have a vertical line going down, and we have two horizontal lines. So the one with the singular horizontal line it just makes the vowel sound ah. The one, yes, Getty?
Oh, sorry, no.
Okay, and the one with the two horizontal lines, you add a Y to the beginning, and then you make the sound of that letter. So here we have ah, and then the second one we have ya. So we added the Y sound to just the first, to this letter. So we add one more line, and it just makes it go ya. Ah, ya. And the same thing here. We have all, right? But we added the second, here the second one, we added one horizontal line on the left side. Nancy, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you, okay? Sorry. There's just
Sorry.
no sound. No, it's okay. So there is all, y'all. So we're adding the Y sound to the beginning of this for the vowel, the first vowel sound. So ah, ya, all, y'all. Okay. Next, we have all. 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 So as Americans, what we want to say, when you hear me say the word, you want to say oh, right? You want to stick your lips out because when we say oh, we say oh, oh, oh. But when we're speaking Korean, there's a difference in terms of the way that we enunciate the words. When we are speaking in English, our voice always goes out. We speak out, right? If you kind of study yourself talking, you'll notice that Americans, they speak very outside of their voice, like they're able to make their voice travel very far. But then when we are speaking Koreans, most Koreans speak with their voices very much centered here, right in front of their mouth. So ah, yeah, oh, yeah. If you're doing this, let's do it together, okay? When I do a sound, go ahead and do the sound together. So ah, yeah, oh, yeah. So if you feel the air a little bit, actually, you can feel that the air is kind of centered here near your mouth. Whereas as an American, we're going to say, yeah, ah, ah, yeah. But then in Korean, we say, ah, yeah, oh, yeah. So the sound is centered very much here. So when we're saying this O sound, we're not saying O like this. We're saying ah, ah, ah. Okay. And then this is, sorry, all, all. And this is, we're adding a Y, right? So what is the sound for this one? Go ahead and unmute yourself. All, all.
Yo. Yo.
Yo. Very good. That's correct.
Yo.
That's correct. It is yo. Oh, hold on.
I had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So the pronunciation will be like more similar of how Spanish people talk?
Okay, that's a perfect question, and that's exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right. So then actually, if you're one way in terms of how my pronunciation started to improve in Korean speaking is instead of trying to sound, I also speak Spanish, instead of pronouncing things in English, I will pronounce them in Spanish. So I would give the pronunciation in Spanish, and when I pronounce things in like my Korean English, like people are like, oh man, your pronunciation is so horrible, like you need to go back to school. But then once I change it to kind of my Spanish tongue, they're like, oh my God, you're so good, you're so good, you must be Korean. So those of you who speak Spanish, go ahead and use your Spanish tongue when you're speaking.
Okay, perfect.
Give me 1 second. There's someone having a little bit of trouble entering the class. So then I'm just going to send them the link one more time, okay? Sorry. One second, I'm so sorry. Okay, so now we're back. Okay, very good. Thank you. Very good question. I think that was Laura. You asked the question. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving that advice. So we have in the blue, yeah. In the yellow, we have ya. And in the green, we have yo. And then now we're going down. So now we have ooh, 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 ooh. Next, what is the sound with this double?
You.
You. So now, okay, very good, Maria. It's not you, but it's you. You. Okay, good, like that. Right. So good. It's a little bit strange, right? Because in English, we're taught to kind of speak up, right? Right. But then when we're speaking Korean, it feels like we're not speaking up. But then it's okay. We can still hear you. So it's not you, like the word you, but it's you. It's almost like your pronunciation is dropping down. You. Okay. So if you do, I actually learned like this. A lot of these pronunciations I learned by moving my head down. Ah. Yeah. Ooh. You. I don't know why, but when I move my head down, my pronunciation goes down with it. So that's how I learned some of the pronunciation. Next. So our final ones are going to be So it's like the word put. Put. And now our last one is E. So let's go over everything really quickly. So everyone, if you can go ahead and unmute yourselves at this time. I'm going to go through the pronunciation of each letter, and then you just go ahead and say it after you hear mine, okay? So I'll go first. Leslie, go ahead. Only one of you should turn off your sound. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the first one is ah. Second one. Second one we have yeah. Okay. So I don't know who that was. Someone was you said yeah. That's like from a Korean drama. Okay, that's very good.
Yeah.
Okay. At least you recognize the word. Okay? Next we have oh. Good. So now the second one in yellow we have oh. Good. Now we have try to make a circle. Some of you are doing fish lips. You're opening it very oval like. Try to make it a circle. Okay. Good. Next we have this I don't know, this is not really green, but like this strange green color. The second one we have in our orange we have ooh. Next we have you. Oh, good. You guys are pretty good. Oh, don't say you, but you. Okay. Next we have when you do this there's no breath. There's no breath. It's not but one trick is try to keep your teeth together. Keep your teeth together and say Okay. Yeah, that's one trick for the pronunciation there. Our last one is this is the easiest one. Just like you say E regularly, this is the pronunciation letter E. Yes. Very good. So now you learned, is this all vowels? You learned, okay, These are all of the vowels in the Korean language. Okay, so you've learned. This is 80% of the vowels in the Korean language. Okay, 80-90%. There's just a little bit some weird ones, but we'll learn that maybe in 2 classes. Okay, so you have most of the vowels.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think she's muted.
So Getsi and Araceli, I think one of you has to disconnect your sound.
So when
I don't know.
there's 2 lines in the vowel, that means that it makes the Y sound, right?
Right. Yeah. So we have our regular vowel, the ah, and then once we add the second horizontal line, we add that Y sound. So it comes from ah to ya. So if you look at each letter, ah, o, o, u, and then this one doesn't have it, but each one, once you add the horizontal line, you just add a Y to the front.
Okay.
So if you look here above, they're going to show you how they're paired together. So here above on the page number 11, so yeah. So you can see actually here it shows you the English pronunciation. Ah sound, ya sound, o sound, yo sound, o sound, yo sound, u sound, you sound, e.
Okay. Thank you.
Got it, everyone? Okay, only I'm doing thumbs up. Okay, it's okay. Okay. So now, we're not going to do this in class, but this is going to be kind of like a little bit of homework for you guys to do on your own. Those of you who have the book, you can do it in your book, or you can do it on a separate sheet of paper for those of you who don't have your book, or even if you want to keep your book clean, go ahead and just do it on a separate piece of paper as well. So what we're going to do actually is I'm going to ask you, once you have done this homework, for at least write these letters at least 5 or 6 times, go ahead and take a picture and go ahead and upload it in the chat room. So then it kind of feels like we're all doing it together. And then one thing I do want to explain. Yeah, okay, so this is going to be the homework, okay? So we're just gonna go through the lesson in class and then the activities you'll do outside of class. When you are writing the letter, let's say I was writing this first one. What is this sound? This one?
E.
Right.
E.
So this first sound is E. When you're writing it, speak it as well. Okay? So that's gonna help our kinesthetic learning as well as our verbal learning, our communication learning. Okay? So you'll be learning it in 3 different ways because you're listening to yourself. Okay? Auditory, kinesthetic, and then also verbal learning. Okay, so you're gonna learn it much quicker if you're doing it in that way. Write it and then also speak it as well. Okay, let's go next. Okay, now we learned our vowels, right? So we of course need consonants in order to say words. So in order to say any word in Korean, you need a vowel, you need 1 vowel, and you need 1 consonant. Okay? You can have 2 consonants and 1 vowel, but you never have a vowel together. Okay? It's not like English. You don't have vowels paired together. So for example, let's say, what is a word with 2 vowels?
Goat.
Goat. But I mean, that's it's 1 sound, but you're right. Yeah, your vowels are never paired together, okay? Okay. Now, let's go through our vowel sounds, okay? We're gonna go one by one. I'll call this row, call it row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4, okay? So let us start with row number 1. These are much easier than the vowels. The pronunciation is easier for all of these except for 3, okay? So the first one, okay, before I give you the pronunciation, I'm going to ask you, what is a G pronunciation in English?
G.
G, right? Okay, that's the pronunciation for this letter. Ga, ga,
Ga.
ga, ga, ga.
Ga.
Good. Second, what is the N pronunciation in English?
N.
Mm,
Na,
no,
na.
no,
Okay.
no.
Ga, na. Okay. D pronunciation.
D.
Da,
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 da.
da,
Okay.
da,
We have ga, na, da. Okay.
da.
And then this is one of the ones that's a little bit difficult for English speakers to pronounce because when we're speaking, Korean speakers actually don't have the letter R and they don't have the letter L. So if you look here at the yellow box, we have here RL, right? We have the R and L. So
Yeah.
actually this sound is somewhere between the R and the L.
Oh,
Really, it's really like honestly, my pronunciation for this letter is not always perfect either. So then we're gonna say ra, ra, ra. Yeah.
R.
huh?
R.
How would you say the tongue
Whoa.
placement would be for this character?
Sorry, one more time.
How would you say the tongue placement for like this character would be?
So this character, let me give you the names of each one, just so the G sound is giok, giok, nian, digit, and then this one is called real, real. So then the pronunciation for this
Oh, yeah.
character, when we're speaking in English, the pronunciation for this letter, the L is just floating in the middle of your tongue. Ra, 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 ra.
Oh,
It's
oh,
not
oh, oh,
bit. Ra.
yeah.
So then the L
Huh?
sound, when we do the L sound in English, we bring our tongue and we bring it forward from the back to the front, right? La, 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 right? And then the R sound, it shifts up a little bit and then it comes down very slightly. Ra, 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 right?
Ra.
But then this one, you have to keep it still. Ra, 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 ra.
Yeah.
Good.
R.
So you can practice actually by knowing the name of this letter. So then real, real,
Real.
Dear.
real, real, real. So look at my lips, they're not moving.
Yeah.
Real, 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 real. Listen one time. Real. Okay, that's good. That's much
Kind
better.
of like real?
Yes, exactly, but not like yeah, yes, but no. It's like you're
Real
almost
was a lot of
saying,
R.
yeah, you're almost saying it, but you're not like finishing it, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
may feel a little bit frustrating, but don't finish the word real. Okay?
Yeah. You get halfway there.
Right, exactly. Okay, so next, let's go to our next one. This is the mium, and the sound it makes is like the letter M, ma, ma.
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 Next, we have the name of it is biup, biup, and the sound it makes is like the letter B, ba.
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 For these letters, because just because there are a little bit more consonants, keep this a very soft ba. Don't ba, no, ba.
Ba.
Because there's another letter that's ba, and this one is ba.
Ba.
And here we have sha.
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 Shiny.
So it's like almost sh, but not a little bit closer to s.
Sha.
Sha.
She.
S and sh there somewhere, okay? But honestly, no matter how you pronounce it, like sha or sa, most Koreans will understand when you're speaking. Okay, this circle, it's called an ing, but it has no sound. It has no sound. So this one really, it's let's call it a placeholder. Okay, a placeholder. We'll call it a placeholder. How can I show you an example? Here. Do you see? Can you guys see my mouse? Okay. So do you see this word here? Okay. So then you see this thing here, right? Right. So we know the sound, right? We learned the sound. It's our vowel. And then we just learned the m sound, which is just this mium. It's a the, m sound. So together it makes, what do you think? Like we're saying, like we're thinking, right? So it makes the sound, makes because when you are writing in Korean, the vowel can never be the first letter. The vowel can never be the first letter in a character group. So you always have a you always have a consonant. It always begins with the consonant, and then it goes into a vowel. Always consonant, vowel, and then consonant, and maybe sometimes a third consonant, but it never begins with the vowel. But sometimes, for example, we have some people with the letter A sounds, for example, right? Areli, the first letter of your name starts with an A, right? So the sound is an ah, right? Areli, right? So, but how can we begin a vowel word without beginning with the vowel, right? So that's why we have this consonant, because this consonant holds the place. It doesn't make a sound, but it holds a place. It holds a place as the vowel. Okay, no sound, but it just holds a place. Okay, but of course there's a but, right? So then, but if, for example, we have this shape in the bottom, so if it's the last, for example, you see the circle line and you see the box, right? But if it's the circle line circle, if the circle is at the end, it's the thing on the bottom, it makes the NG sound. So, I can't even in English, I can't even say it alone, you know, along, right? ALONG, right? It makes that NG sound. Only if it's at the bottom. Okay. But it is called the placeholder. In the beginning, it makes no sound. In the end, it makes the NG sound. Okay. Okay, next, let's move on. Let's go through all of them so far until here, because I gave a long explanation for this one. So first we have ga. The. Ra. Ma. Ba. Let's go with the S sound here. Sa. Then, okay. And then no sound, okay? Okay, next, let's go with this one. We have our J sound, ja. Ja. And we have a little line, and if we add a little hat to the top, we have cha. It's our CH sound, cha. Let's go to our fourth and final row. We have the K sound, ka. Now we have our T sound, ta. We have our P sound, pa. And then our final sound we have is ha. So this sound is H sound, right? Good. So let's go through them all one last time. Ga. Ra. Ma. Ba. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Ma. Sa. Ja. Cha. Ka. Ta. Ta. Ha. Okay, so I think maybe some of you noticed it looks a little weird because I'm not moving my mouth, right? It looks I'm just keeping my mouth like ga na da ra ma ba sa ja cha ka ta pa ha. It's like not moving at all, right? It looks maybe it looks a little bit weird because when Americans talk, we move our lips like this, right? Right. It's true, right? But then when you start speaking Korean, or like if any of you watch Korean dramas, just take a look at how their lips are moving. You'll notice that most of them don't move their lips too much. Okay, you'll notice that the lips don't move a lot, but what's inside of the mouth is what ends up moving. And that's why we're saying that when we're speaking the Korean language is a very much a language that works in this area. It works in this area. Whereas the English language, when we're speaking, we kind of we speak out. We speak out when we're speaking in English. Okay. So all of you, actually, you should be able to read in Korean now. You should be able to read in Korean. So what I'm going to give you.
Perhaps.
Yes, go ahead.
Huh?
A question?
No.
No? Okay. So what we're gonna do, because some of you have the camera off, but then who of you has, sorry, how many of you, like, this is like the first ever Korean class you ever taken? Okay, and some of you have kind of put your foot in Korean, like just a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Just a little bit. So we're gonna go through all of the letters one time because it seems like a lot of you are maybe unfamiliar with everything. So I don't want to give too much information this first class, but we're gonna go through, this is lesson 1 and lesson 2. Okay, so this is quite a bit of information. Okay. So we're gonna go through the pronunciation. We have here some balloons, right? So then I'm gonna point to a balloon and I want you guys to go ahead and unmute yourselves and then just give the sound to that vowel. Okay? So as I point, you just give the sound freely, okay? Good? Okay. Oh, okay. This is perfect. I love that you guys you're right, but then you're also wrong. That's a little confusing, right? I'll explain why. So we have these two. We have this green one and we have this yellow one, right? So some of you are saying yo. You're saying a very much O sound, like an O sound. But then actually the one I was pointing out is more an aw sound. Aw. Right? I sound like Hermione, right? It's not Liviosa. So if you say Liviosa, that's the correct pronunciation. Liviosa. And then the green one, okay? So here we have Hermione with the yaw. And then here we have the Let's say it together. Yaw. Oh, good. Sounds really good right now. Okay. So then let's go to our next one. In our next little balloon, we have yo, right? Yeah. Good. Who is that?
Sorry.
No one really knows this
It's
word.
a habit.
This one?
Habit.
Oh, good. We have
Your.
Maybe it was good. And then okay, good.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, good. Very good. Now let's go to our consonants. Of course, we have to do our consonants as well, right? Okay. Good. Sounds good. It's not CH, this is the J. J. Okay. Okay, good. Good. Very good. Trish, you're very good. You're very fast. Okay, this one. Cha. Good. 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 Did we do everything?
No.
We didn't do that.
It's just
Where's this one? Yeah, this is the
Silence.
okay. What else is left? This one?
We did that one.
we didn't do the art thingy.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, good. This one we're having a little trouble with, but go ahead. It's okay. I'll help you guys out with it. Okay.
Can we just pretend we're like rolling our R's a little bit?
You don't want to roll your R. You don't. I think you're talking about like in Spanish, we're like ra, right? So if you start that but don't do it, then that's okay.
It's like a flip once, almost one little flip.
So if you're not moving your tongue, Trish is correct. It's like ra, like you're going into that position, but you don't go any further. Ra. It's like you're rolling your R without moving your tongue. If you do that, and now, for now, we'll finish what is it in English? The textbook, the textbook class for now. But I do have. I want to give you some free time because I want you guys to learn about Korean culture as well, because I know a lot of you are interested in Korea. So I want to give maybe 5 or 10 minutes for you to ask anything you're curious about Korean culture. You can freely ask me. And if I don't know the answer, then I will ask someone and I'll let you know in the chat box.
I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed in Korean dramas that a lot of the guys, the romantic interest, guys, they grab the girl by the wrist and drag them down the street. Is that like a cool thing to do over there? Because here, that's not cool.
Harassment.
I will have to say that America is much more 21st century than much more 21st century than Korea is. So it's not in the dramas, actually there's 2 types of Korean girls. Okay, there's the one that's gonna smack him in the face, and then there's the one that's gonna kind of let herself kind of be dragged, yeah. So it's just Korea is a little bit more conservative. Okay, a lot more conservative actually than the United States. Even in television in Korea, they blur out like knives, they blur out tattoos. In America, they just show it freely, right? But like knives or like guns, but in movies and like if you go to the theater or like even on television broadcast, they blur all of that stuff out. So it's just a little bit more conservative.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know this is to be true, but just for clarification on it, when you do go to Korea, the way we see things are quite different than the way they see them. For instance, when it comes to going to restaurants and getting tips, they see it as disrespectful, meaning they're not getting paid enough, whereas we see it as, ooh, more money. Is that likely to happen, that if you were to give one of them a tip that they would probably throw it back at you? Or, I mean, unless you're American, I think they'll understand, but
So I'm glad you said that last part, unless you're American, because that's very much true. They're very much aware of, because the Eastern hemisphere of the world is in these days, there's like a period of globalization, right? So then everything is becoming much more alike, and very much everyone is going towards the Western pattern, right? So then countries in the East are very much aware of the culture of America, especially. And if an American were to give them a tip, they're not going to throw it back at you. Yeah, but you're right. It's also not, these days, it's not so rude, but it's just not an expected thing, but they will be thankful to you, because they know you're showing gratitude.
yeah.
So is it true that if a Korean sees a foreigner, they'll avoid talking to them just because they think their English is bad?
Unfortunately, this is in Korean education, they do receive around 10, 11 years of English. So they start from elementary school, middle school, and high school. They receive around 10 or 11 years. And it is a little bit harder for Koreans to get out of the fear of speaking the English language, because actually in most of the education that they do receive is in terms of grammatical English or written English. So they never practice speaking, so they don't know like the nuances of the English language. So it's becoming the younger generation, or the people who are more like, okay, it's a little bit strange, because like the generation, like when the Korean War was going on, during that time, they actually speak English really well, better than the younger generation. There were a lot of Americans in Korea, right? So they will see an American, and they will go to that American, and they will not let the American go until they've had their fill of the conversation. That has happened a few times. And then the younger generation, those who are in high school or university, are a little bit more up to speaking. But then our parents' generation are a little bit more fearful in terms of that. And then those who did study a lot of English without practicing verbal speaking, they do have that fear. It's the same as us. If we don't know English very well, Spanish very well, or we don't know Russian very well, you know what I mean? Hey, Jonathan, speak Russian. I'm gonna be like I'm gonna shy away from it, right? So it's the same kind of concept.
I had a question. Oh,
yes.
Oh no, she can go first.
So I heard that in a lot of restaurants and stuff like that, sometimes they'll refuse to serve foreigners because obviously, again, back to the whole language thing. Is that true, or is that something that you ever experienced, being kicked out of a place because they thought maybe you didn't speak Korean, or just because you were a foreigner?
I've never experienced that personally. I mean, because when I walk into restaurants, I'm just like, 안녕하세요, right away I speak the Korean, in Korea, at least my friends from the United States that have gone to Korea, I only know of one person that has experienced that kind of situation. So I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but then it's the same thing here. It's not like just a Korean thing, you know what I mean? It happens in the United States, right? This kind of stuff happens in the US as well. So it's just like some people are a little bit more closed-minded, and we don't know. I mean, I can't tell you anything. It's not a Korean culture thing. It's a person thing,
So to kind of piggyback off of her question, because I was also wondering, because I've heard they've done this before, where if you're American and they don't know how long you've been in Korea, or if you're visiting a Korean restaurant and you ask for a set of something, certain sides they won't give you, because they want to make sure that you'll like the food. They don't think that you'll have a taste for certain things that they like, so they will withhold some of the sides. in a restaurant. So is that
So,
true?
unfortunately,
So
I can't answer your question exactly just because I have never worked in a restaurant, in Korea.
well,
So
I
that,
mean,
yeah, go ahead.
like let's say you go to Korean barbecue, right? And so if you go to Korean barbecue, you get the meat obviously, and you get like side dishes and stuff
Right.
like that. Has there ever been a time where like you looked at all your side dishes and were like, this is a little less at the table next to me, but obviously you don't know if they ordered or something, but like they won't
Uh,
give you certain side dishes because they want you to like the food and they feel that you won't have a taste for these.
okay. So one, side dishes are always free. So if you don't
Mm.
get a side dish, then just tell them like, hey, I want that. you know, I want that.
No, yeah.
Okay? So side
Yeah.
dishes are always free in Korea. And I'm not gonna say no one has ever experienced that because I don't know. But personally, I haven't experienced that. Um, and usually in Korean barbecue, unlike
Mhm.
Korean barbecue in the United States, side dishes, they're self-serve. So they just have them
Mhm.
there and then you go get them yourself. In Korea. In the United States, I don't know.
No, no, yeah. United States, you gotta ask.
What made you go to Korea? And how do you say your character names that
Okay.
Jonathan?
Yeah, Jonathan. So it's just my name, Jonathan, in Korean. I do have a Korean name, but then this is just my English name. I actually went to. I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher, and I went to Korea. I was offered a job in Korea, to teach in Korea. So then I accepted, and I went there and stayed there a while. And I'm actually going back this December. Um, I came for a break from Korea because it was just too long. I was just there for too long, and I hadn't been to the US for a long time. I thought like, hey, like COVID's going on, like I'm having trouble getting my visa because all this COVID stuff. Like, let me just come back to the US for some time, and I came back and yeah, and then next year they said like, hey, I know you're going back to the US, but come back to Korea. Um, so then it was just kind of a through recommendation I was able to go.
Oh,
Yeah. Any other questions?
for this for the school system. Wow, I have a lot for the school system. Because it kind of caught me off guard because the whole K drama thing, and I was kind of wondering about this when it comes to the school system. Out here, we don't do night school and stuff like that unless you're going to a private school. But I mean, for the age range, because at one point I saw that somebody was 20, but they were in high school. So is the age range different to complete high school out there than it is for in America?
Um, no, but the system that they use to say what your age is different. So
Yeah, like 1 year.
you're 1 year old pretty much if you've lived in any year. So for example, I was born in 1991. So I have had my life in the earth for the period, not the period of a year, but I've existed for like a year. You know what I mean? I existed in the year 1991, right? So they do kind of that. If you've existed for a year of something, then you're considered 1 year old. So I existed in 1991, so I'm one year old. I existed in 1992, so I existed for 2 years. So that's how it works. And if you are born in January or February, you can add 2 years to your birthday. You're just
uh,
it's based off of, because you know how like sometimes in high school you're born early, so then you start school early. So then they do that same kind of thing in Korea. If you're born early, their school starts in February, so they start much in a different time than us.
oh,
So if you're born
so
early,
some
it's kind of awkward, especially in Korea, because there is this kind of hierarchy system. They have the oppa hyung, they have these words, right? So then that's kind of a hierarchy system, kind of who is the leader, right? So then it's really awkward in Korea to be in a grade with someone that's older than you or younger than you. Because the people that they are the friendliest with, I'm not saying that they can't be friendly with people, They can be friendly with anyone, but the people that they are friends with are the people that are the same age. So there
So
is
친구.
yeah, 친구. Not anyone can be your 친구. Do you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah, you have to be same year.
is there anyone born in 1991?
Anyone 2001?
No. So
Anybody
then,
2001?
so here
No?
I don't
Oh.
have any 친구. So I have no friends, right? But 친한 사람, so people who I'm friendly with, there could be someone here, right? But I don't have any friends. It doesn't mean I'm like a lonely person. You know what I mean? It just means that there's just no one born in the same year as me. Yeah. So we might be getting kind of long and we got off track. So I want to, for those of you who want to finish, you can leave at this time. And then I'm going to update all of you on the Kakao group chat. I'll give you all the information. If you have any questions, I'm going to upload the recording onto there as well. So I'll upload it to YouTube privately, so no one else besides our group can view it. And you're not, random people aren't just watching it, okay? So I'll upload it privately, and then I'll upload the link into our chat room. So if you want to watch this recording again, you can go ahead and you can share it with, I guess, some of your close friends that would also like to learn Korean. But officially, I'll end the class now, okay? So, and those of you who have to go. Those of you who have more questions, you can go ahead and stay, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can stay if you'd like, yeah. I'll be here.
I just have a question. How do you say hello?
There's 5 different ways to say hello in Korean. Literally, there's like 5 different ways. The most common way to say hello in Korean is 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
안녕.
안녕하세요.
안녕 is for your friends or people younger
Friends.
than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. 안녕.
But then
yeah, go ahead.
I remember there's another one, but I can't. Like for the ones that are like older than you, you look up to, like parents, grandparents. There's what is that one?
안녕하십니까.
Like
안녕하십니까.
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 Yeah. Yeah, this is that one's yeah. That's like used for public speaking as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many ways are there to say bye?
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Because I know there's like one, like if I'm leaving, if I'm like a friend and I'm leaving, it's like I have to say a certain one. But if I'm staying and my friend's leaving, they say different, you know?
Right. So if they're leaving, you say 안녕히 가세요.
안녕히 가세요.
안녕히 가세요.
안녕히
가세요. 안녕히 가세요.
If you're leaving, you say 안녕히 계세요.
안녕히 계세요.
Right.
안녕히 계세요.
안녕히
계세요.
Right.
Okay.
But in Korea, we also say to your friends or younger, right? Remember, friends or younger. You also can say bye-bye. So,
bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Isn't to say good night the same way to say like bye or something?
It's similar, but in the way to say good night is 안녕히 주무세요.
안녕히
주무세요.
Wait, can you repeat that?
안녕히 주무세요.
안녕히 주무세요.
안녕히 주무세요.
Or you can just say 주무세요 with the 안녕히 without the 안녕히.
주무세요.
Doesn't 안녕 also mean like hi or bye?
Yes, you're right. Yes, it does. And then Areli, for your friends, you can just say 잘 자.
잘 자?
잘 자.
잘 자.
So it means literally it means 잘 means good and 자 means rest. Good rest. Sleep. 잘 자.
잘 자. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I had another question.
Yes.
Is it true that if you move into a new place, you eat jjajangmyeon?
I have to say yes, that the answer to that is yes. But if you move into a new place, if you finish a big project, if you finish an event, you eat jjajangmyeon. Yeah.
That's a lot of jjajangmyeon, but it's so good. It's so good.
They like jjajangmyeon. Or
Yeah, I like it too.
jampong. Jampong is also something.
Sweet and sour pork is good. Okay, now I'm hungry.
Are there any more questions? Yes.
When is it appropriate for, I see this in the dramas, when they part saying krom, and it's subtitled then. So they say then, and then they walk away from a person, like, I'm leaving first, like, I didn't really want to talk to you in the first place, or I was busy, and then they're like, I don't know what that
They
is.
say like with an attitude, right? Krum.
A little bit. Yeah,
Right,
like a doctor who has a problematic patient or some other person that's like talking to them. and
So
they're like,
it's kind of in the subtitle it says then, but it has a much stronger feeling than that. It's more like so, kind of like that kind of situation. It's like rather than, because then and so are very similar words, right? But it's more like so, kind of like that. 그럼. And so, but it can be used both ways actually. The 그럼 can be then or so. So then if the translator is really, they are familiar with American culture, and there's that kind of situation, they're going to put so. But if they're not so familiar with it, they don't know which one to use. So then sometimes it's then, but it doesn't make sense, right? Because like, wait, that person has an attitude, like a really bad attitude, and they're saying then, it doesn't make sense. But it just means that the translator maybe they learned English in Korea, but not in the United States, or they didn't have like a native speaker teacher. Yeah.
안녕하세요.
Do we need to fill in that attendance sheet? How do we do
Oh
that?
yeah. Oh guys, I totally forgot. Please fill in the attendance sheet. That we're going to make sure to fill in the attendance sheet. Mark yourself. I do have the video as well. So I will try to, if you weren't able to do it or you forgot, I will fill it in for you the first few times. But then I want you guys to get into the habit of filling it in yourself. And then I do have a question for Susan Williams and Karen Sanchez, if you're here, if you can stay a little bit after everyone goes, okay?
Okay.
Then we'll finish here.
Jonathan?
Yeah,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Your link to the attendance sheet is a view only, so we can't edit it.
Really? Let me change that for you, okay? I'll change
Where
that.
is it? Oh, it's in the.
It's in that really long message that I sent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'll see everyone later. And then Susan and Karen, please stay, okay?
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.